Welcome to another Liquid Bullet production. With us today is England assistant coach for the karate team, Mr. Dean Lowe. Thanks for coming, Dean.
You're welcome. Pleasure. Pleasure.
So, Dean, you're a fourth degree black belt.
Yeah.
And you've been training 42 years.
Yeah, since I was 9.
Blimey.
Yeah, with Terry Daly in London.
That's more years training than I've lived. I'm only 21.
Thanks for that. It more likely is more than years training than you've lived. Yeah.
So, Dean, can I just take you back to the beginning, where you started for you, where you grew up and stuff?
I grew up in Bow, East London. Went to school in Bethnal Green, Morpeth School. Lived in Ramwell Estate. I'm proud of that. You know, I lived there up until I was 18. Then I lived in Poplar. Then I moved to Essex when I was 25.
Yeah. What was your sort of childhood like your schooling and upbringing and stuff?
Yeah, it's East End upbringing. It's totally, it was testing times. I've had many ups and downs, without doubt.
Yeah.
You know, I had a few serious things that happened, which we can talk about. It's fine. But school-wise, parent-wise, brilliant. My mum, mum and dad, bless them, was superb. So,
what sort of age did you sort of start finding out about martial arts and karate?
When I was 9.
I was 9.
My family all boxed. A lot of them were at Repton, West Ham Boxing Club. My dad took me. Funny story. He took me. I cried at the door of Repton when I walked through the doors. Big painting on the wall. He made me walk home a mile and a half at 8 years old. And called me everything. Just proper. What? Everyone boxes. You got a box. And I was horrified. And then my mum was like, being mummy's boy, no, don't take him boxing. We'll get him to do something else. We'll get him doing karate or something like that. And then so happens on the estate, Lefevre Walk, just near where I lived, there was a sign in the window, karate classes. And that's how it started, really.
Did you have much of a sort of a knowledge of karate in them days?
No.
Like Bruce Lee was out, did you watch them sort of films and that?
That was as soon as I watched that. But then I don't think I watched that before I went karate.
Right, gotcha.
But it got me into other stuff. And then there was Kung Fu, and I just had an interest in. Yeah. And I think there was you had a boxing side that had a very raw, rough side. And I think the martial arts thing at the time was lot of discipline and respect within it.
Yeah.
And I just adapted to that a lot better, you know? Yeah. And, I love boxing, but for me at that time, at a young age, I was quite intimidated and stuff like that. So
I'll just touch on something that he said about karate was more disciplined. Can you just sort of run us through what is the sort of discipline with that?
Obviously, I remember turning up. I started at Terry Daly's club in East London in 1980.
Who's a former England karate international.
Yeah, superb coach of Wayne Otto, 9 times world champion. And to this day, he's like my dad. He's like my second dad. It's like there's times I've called him for certain things, and even now I don't see him as much. He's still that role model. He's the when I went through a stage in my teens where I was having a battle with myself. He was the one that would talk to me and I'd listen without raising his voice. He had a massive influence on my life generally.
So can I just jump back there to obviously just explain the sort of, you said about the discipline side of it.
Yeah.
How does that come into it?
I think we turned up, everyone bowed at the door, bowed when they approached the instructor, sensei, obviously, but Terry always was Terry. He didn't want to be called sensei, but that's a personal thing. And the classes were very quiet. Yeah. There was just that control within it, without stamping authority. Terry had a way about him, very softly spoken, but when he spoke, everyone stopped. If anything, I was informed more recently by Wayne Otto, I think he's 4 or 5 years older than me, but obviously he was that much older than me when I started karate, so he would have been a teen, and he said I was the annoying one in our class. I was the one that ran around and tormented them, and they all wanted to rough me up and all this because I was just an annoying kid. But I think it's because I was the youngest there. That's why. But we're still all friends now. Important people to me.
Yeah. So where did that sort of start on this karate path when you first started? Was it instant sort of you liked it straight away, or?
Yeah, traditionally, I liked it, I did enjoy it, but then when I started when I was 9, I believe when I was about 15, I stepped away from it, and it coincided with my life taking a completely different turn. And then I come back into it when I was 20, 21. I think
I
when
suppose
you grow
at
up,
that age you've just discovered going out with your friends and going to
girls,
parks, women.
yeah, that's right. You know,
Your teens, your alcohol and clubs and pubs.
that's right. And I was not bullied from not at school, but I had a bullying situation that escalated quite quick when I was about 14, 15, to the point, you know, I ended up taking an overdose when I was 14 years old.
Blimey.
And so I was in hospital for a couple of weeks, seeing my dad cry. And I think seeing my dad cry, and then me being quite intimidated a lot, you know, by people generally, if I was out, like just locally on the estate, I think to that happening, seeing my dad upset, and then going the opposite.
Yeah.
So then going out to a bar or stuff like that, very defensive, very fiery, very just completely on its head. And then the karate, when I got to 20, brought me back down.
Yeah.
And then my passion regarding children now, training, and my time now for the younger athletes and karateka, you know, I think it started when I realised how much of a different turn it could have took.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
Can I just jump in there and just ask a little bit about, obviously, what is karate about? So what sort of aspects of karate go along with it?
just me personally now, I think the respect is massive in karate. I think that is in most martial arts, most fight sports. There's an awful lot of respect. You know, I've met some of the hardest guys have done martial arts, and talking to them, they're the nicest guys.
Yeah.
And I think that is a massive thing for me. I think, you know, I think what it gave me in a way of focusing and achieving at different levels, because I know that some people don't agree with grading systems, you know, like a red belt or yellow belt. But I think when you're growing up, it's quite an achievement. There's always a step you can achieve, you know?
Yeah, I suppose it gives you a target to aim for, doesn't it?
That's
like
right.
a stepping stone margin of
definitely
going in the right path.
You know? And that's now important to me when I work with youngsters. And I've had students that you look at and you think something special. They're going to be good fighters or good at kata. And then, you've got others that it's quite a challenge for them to do stuff, you know, they're not natural. But just to see them grow, confidence, stuff at school I hear about, like I get told, she would have never done that before she done karate.
Yeah.
And that's just as important to me, not always about the medals and the champions, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So could you just run us through sort of your sort of training, building up to, obviously you're a 4th degree black belt now.
Yeah.
How challenging is it to get to this sort of stage in life, and what sort of hurdles are in your way to get there?
Time, especially in that real work. I think when you're at school, before you start doing studies, I was terrible at school, but I find it now with my students. I think that's a better way of, you know, that when they're from 5 to 14 years old, they have more time.
Yeah.
I think as you get older, work, that's your priority.
Life commitments take over.
Yeah, children, you know, and you keep it going. I used to tick over, like I've done other martial arts as well, which was a bit more, because obviously I moved to Essex, so for me to get into London to train wasn't that easy, you know. So I actually started doing a bit of karate with a friend of mine, Frank Lee Sang, in Rayleigh, Ishin Rule,
Yep.
you know, and just to train. Because, you know, dojo doors are open, good clubs, dojo doors are open, people turn up, they got their gear, you know. And then I've done other bits of martial arts, just to tick over, but never massively serious into them. It was more just flitting in and out of them, you know.
Yeah.
So, but...
Yeah, so can you tell us a bit, you just stumbled on you said about kata.
Yeah.
What is a kata?
Kata's learned as soon as you walk through the doors of a dojo, you start doing the basics of karate. It's a formation of moves that are defense and attacks. Some people would say, I've heard comments say it's like a dance routine. Yeah, to a point. But our harder work to get to the level to take gradings, and then on again to take black belts, England internationals, win British. They're extreme athletes. They are, you know. I look at them and like I've got Kata athletes at mine, although I won't take any accolades for any of my Kata athletes. That's down to one of my coaches, Melissa Williamson. But how hard they train. I think a lot of people that are not aware of it, you know, it's like people have an opinion of stuff they see. What's that they're going through, you know? Yeah. But it's not until you get closer to it and you see how hard they work. You know, it's then you sit back and you go, that's, you know, it's the basics basically of karate. And then at different levels it goes on.
Yeah. So can I just ask you, so the moves you're actually doing in these katas are actually you could use in a real life situation, is that correct?
Yeah, without doubt.
So it's not literally like a dance routine, they're actually practical moves that would work.
Yeah, they're blocks and punches, kicks, takedowns, holds, strikes, you know, with different parts of the hand, kick with different parts of the foot, you know, it's interesting stuff, you know. It's like, it's not been anything. I've always done my traditional stuff, Wei-Chi-Ru katas, and I've enjoyed them and stuff like that, but I've never done anything at competition level, but I did when I was a child. Yeah. Because it's good for children, you know. Yeah. But as you get on, yes, it is very impressive.
So how do they use that that kata we're talking about in a competition? How does that work?
Well, the punch, the concept is exactly the same. A Gakuzuki punch, which you'd know because you've done, you know, reverse punch, which comes out from here to score in a competition, chew down for 1 point. That punch is thrown in kata, you know, but it's just it's diluted down a bit in Kumite. It's not as strict technically, you know. It's like instead of blocking across like you would in kata, when we fight, you just move your hand across. Yeah. You know, it's more so. Yeah, but it definitely. I find it easier to work with athletes at all levels if their competition, if their kata basics are good. Yeah. The rest flows from that. So I'd still instill it like into my students now. Kata, basics.
How did it actually? So, them katas actually you compete with other people against katas in competition.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit how that works? How do they judge, or how do they know who's the winner there? What goes on there?
This is how we score for Kumite fighting. Speed, strength, their balance, it's very ruthless. You know, it's like I've seen slight wobble in a stance. Gone. You know, like in Kumite, you can make a slight mistake, you'll lose a point, but you've got a minute and a half to make that point back up, or a minute or whatever the time. With kata, wobble, you're open your partner, the person you're up against wobbles. Or that's it, you know? So it is, I'm very limited when it comes to the refereeing at kata. That's why I'm a big believer in, I get someone in that knows what they're talking about. That's why I'm not the kata coach at my club, you know? I do my stuff with my students in regards to gradings, but yeah.
Whoa! Lovely. So can I just ask you, obviously your kata we're talking about now, you actually coached the Kumite, which is, could you just explain a little bit what the Kumite is?
Kumite is fighting for points.
Yeah.
Easier way to describe it is you'll have, obviously they both wear the white gi, one's in blue, one's in red. The score goes up. You know, they'll get 1 point for a chew down, body punch. They'll get 2 points. You can go into more depth, you know, but 2 points for a kick chew down, like round the back, and anything head kick or a sweep, a bigger technique, you get 3 points for it.
Yeah.
You know?
So this did get to the Olympics at one point, didn't it?
Yeah, it got to the Olympics it was in Tokyo. We didn't have anyone qualify from Team Great Britain, which we have excellent athletes, you know, that I would love to have seen them there, you know, but for many reasons, in the qualification process, none of them qualified. That was very ruthless, you know, they took so many in each category for the top in the world.
Yeah.
They got some to fight off. We just missed out, a few of them just missed out, very narrow. But our athletes, they don't get funded.
Right.
So when you're competing against the best in the world, or the other people that qualify for the Olympics, these are getting paid to travel, you know, our lot are going to work.
So even now, if you were fighting for the England team,
Yeah.
and it's abroad somewhere, you have to self-fund that. Yeah?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. It's got a bit better where there's been some slight help. You know, the governing body has helped a few of the athletes that show have not got a chance, because that sounds wrong. Have got our stronger fighters have got some funding, you know, because of the medal possibility. You know? But generally, and that's very minimal what they've got over the years. When you know, and they took as well, because of the Olympic qualification, they had to attend K1s abroad, as well as, so they had to pay to get enough points to qualify. So
it's a shame, really, when you're sort of representing your country for you know, top level sport. It should really be sort of backdoor sponsored or something, shouldn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And the kids, you know, I look at the kid. You know, we've got England training tomorrow, wherever this goes out. But we've got England training tomorrow, selections tomorrow for the team that goes to the Europeans in June, which was postponed because of the virus and that. But it's in June, and the parents that drive up and down the country, England squad training, competitions, go abroad for competitions, because they have to do Youth K1. You know, they're at Youth K1 to top level ones, and the commitment level of parents and the kids, you just want them all picked.
Yeah.
You know, just, you know, because I didn't have that commitment. You know, it's far from what I was. You know, if anything got a little bit tough when I was younger, I was like, oh yeah, whatever, just. Yeah. But these kids, you know, so going forward, it would be nice for them to get some sort of.
I think it makes it a little bit unfair as well, because if you've got a family that's sort of, not so wealthy, or might not have the spare money to fund. You know, it's a lot of money to for flights and stuff. So
yeah, sure.
You know, you could have like one of the best athletes, but if they can't afford to fund themselves, then they might not be able to take their position.
And I think even at club level, I know we've got a very, very successful fighter that's retired now, but I know at club, I won't say any names, but was at part of my club, and he couldn't afford to go training. Mm. And then Terry knocked at their door and said, look, I've been training, I ain't got the money. And if you look at all back in our day and people before us, how successful England karate was then, you know, with the people we both know, none of them had any money. No. But England then was supported and funded. So when you've got people everything's paid for, and they can train, that's their job, and then you've got our athletes going abroad that have to train on a Monday, Wednesday night.
Yeah, after a day's work.
After a day's work, yeah. So you can't have nothing but respect for them, you know. Yeah. So, but hopefully going forward in time, with the right people in, just like anything, with the right people in charge, and the right people with the right intention, you know, I think that's all it needs. It just needs us to keep moving forward, and hopefully one day we won't be talking like this.
Yeah.
Know? But it is.
I'll just step in and ask you a little bit about, obviously, you brought a team with you today.
Hi, my name's Kata, I'm 14. My favourite move is Kazami Gap.
Yeah, hi, my name's Charlotte Thomas, I'm 17 and my favourite move is spinning and watch.
Hi, my name is Jude Fuller, I'm 13 years old and my favourite move is switchback neck march.
introduction.
Hi, my name's Chloe Barsby, I'm 15 years old, and my favourite move is very much.
Absolutely excellent. Just watching them is amazing, some of their skills. So could I just ask you about your teaching? How did you get into the teaching side of it, and where did that take you?
Teaching is something I've always wanted to do, even when I was young. Even I remember saying this to Terry when I was before I stopped, when I was like 12, 13, on my own club. And it was one thing, yeah, I loved competing, it was good competing. I never was at the top level at competing. We used to do the English and the British. And when I done the English and the British, my weight category had 4 or 5 world champions in it. So when people say to me now, oh, did you fight for England? I go, no. Oh, right, why not? Oh, them lot, that's why, you know. Yeah. So I think I took not the easy route, but I think my mindset was then, oh, teaching. I'll do teaching. And then I moved from London. I moved to Benfleet in Essex.
Yeah.
And a few of my friends locally went, teach us karate. And I was like, really? So we got to Churchill, 4 people, and then it just grew from that. And then it worked out. I started teaching children when my boy was 4, because as he was like the first one with a couple of his mates from school. So then I had a kids and an adult class, and then from then on it's been, yeah,
been enjoyable teaching and passing on your knowledge.
Yeah. Just and I think the impact it has on kids now when I see when I started. So my club's been open about, I think it's 24 years. A lot of them students are nearly 30, some of them, and I look at them all and what they're doing in work and what they're doing now as adults, you know.
Yeah.
And I've had it a few times said to me, Dean, karate. The impact karate had on me, I didn't realise at the time.
Yeah.
And my boy, when he went my boy competed for England twice. He had a top interview for a job, and the guy behind the desk was like, in the interview was like more interested in his karate achievement because it showed commitment, focus, discipline.
All the skills.
You're
looking for the job. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a very good martial arts in general.
Yeah. Can I just ask you a bit about your coaching? So, obviously, how hard is it for you mentally to coach someone? Obviously, if they're not doing what you want them to do, or they're not progressing how you want them to do, it must be quite hard on yourself for that.
Yeah, I have quite I think it was more pointed out to me recently, where my personality and the way children are different. Some might need a kick up the backside. Some might not need an arm round and an encouragement, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that my personality, the banter, the giggles, gets people to come out their self.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I feel that there is always that respect, you know. And I look at the way a lot of my students develop, and even now they say some of the things I say to the kids, like just messing around, and the parents, it's like, sometimes it's like parent level, and the kids are like, what? Like, yeah, but I do have a really good relationship with them. I think my coaches, like obviously kids that I've trained from when they were young, they're now coaches for me.
Yeah.
You know, and they're ex-England internationals. So, yeah, the level across the board is very good, and the coaches are all different personalities.
Of course, yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. Can I just ask you, obviously, you don't really all sort of hear this side about it, but can I just ask you a little bit of a sort of from a coach's side of point of view? So when you're taking a team to fight and you're sitting on that line watching them, I'll just ask what that's like for you, because everyone obviously just speaks about the fighters. They don't actually see what the coach goes through and the pressure they're under. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
every time I leave a competition, I'm like flaking out. The emotions of the day is just up and down, and we've lost it. I've got, my assistant, the other assistant England coach, Sat. We've had fighters up against each other. We're as close.
Your own team.
Yeah, well, me, and he's got his own club and a different style and all that, and we've come up against each other and we've walked off. Like, proper, but we're really close. We're good pals, we're still to this day. But when we come up against each other, the pressure of it, we want our fighter to win.
Yeah,
so when I'm up against him, we've had a couple, it's like, and then afterwards we laugh about it. It's like one of us a strop or real strop, it's like, but yeah, it is hard, but I think you get used to it. I did notice how hard it was after COVID.
Right.
Because we'd had 3 years out.
Cool.
When I first started coaching at competitions, I was really hot-headed. I'd like, jump out my chair, grab my fight, you know, like have a go at referee. Now, I'm a lot calmer. It don't get you nowhere. And I think that's just experience, you know. There'll be a few referees that look at me and think, oh, he was a pain. Yeah. But now these days I'm a lot quieter. Even my students say I'm a lot more chilled out. Yeah. I think you learn to deal with it, the pressures of it, didn't you? Because there's nothing, I see what it is, I see how hard they work all week.
Yeah.
Like yourself, when you was competing, your coach would see how hard they just want you to win.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're gutted for you. A genuine coach is gutted for you, you know? And I think that's...
It must be hard, like when you not expect them to win, but you've got a very good chance of winning, and then they lose it. You sort of as disappointed as they are.
Yeah, that's right. Very much so. You know, I've had that a few times. I think we all have. You know, especially once you've got the pressures of one of the fighters having an England badge, and then the pressures on them when they get up in a normal competition.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to beat the England fighter.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and when they slip up, guaranteed, you'll have people going, yeah, they fight for England. My daughter or my student beat them the other week.
Yeah.
All right, off day. Don't read too much into it.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? It's
That's
like,
right, you know.
The best boxing champions, they lose a fight and then come back and be on top again.
I try not to, big thing for me as teaching, I try not to big up an event. And if someone wins, I try and appreciation, brilliant, well done. So I don't get too over the top. And when someone loses, I'm the same. So I try and keep a bit level. I think as soon as you start to big something up too big, when they do have a setback, it's twice as hard.
Yeah.
So I tend to try and keep a little bit of a level head on it. I can't avoid.
Have you ever found, like, obviously, as soon as you mention karate, everyone thinks of the Karate Kid, don't they, the film?
Yeah, and stand there doing a crane.
When you go to these competitions, do you ever come across teams that are not exactly like it, but the Cobra Kais, they're sort of like the bad guys. You ever come across teams like that with sort of no respect in that, or?
Not so much now.
Right.
Because I do believe, not so much now. I do find that sometimes the competition environment is a lot more controlled. It's a lot stricter. Even on your chair, if I'm coaching and I'm too loud, the referee will say,
"Oh, really?"
Yeah. So sometimes that calms that situation down. So I think if you had someone there, a club with attitude or a little bit of, which I like, you know, because I remember when we was fighting, you know, Ishimuru, top club, you know, Ren Shinkai with the red geese, there was another one. And we used to turn up, because when we started doing comps with Terry, we was tiny, our club was tiny, you know, and we'd look like that. I wanted to leave Terry's club when I was a kid, so I wanted to wear a red gi, that's all it was. I thought the red geese looked brilliant, and they was, you know. But yeah, I think that's a massive change, because people are much more, it's a lot more controlled environment now.
Yeah.
You know, hence even it's controlled fighting now. You know, I have people saying, "Oh, back in the day, do you reckon they were totally different fights?" You know, I do feel, you know, going into this, I think we was a lot maybe tougher. It was an harder way about karate then, like no mats, silly little white pads.
Yeah, I suppose health and safety in general over the years has gone crazy.
That's right. Yeah, you know. So yeah, if I had an opinion on it, I think it has got a bit softer, but they're a lot quicker. They're better athletes now. Diet, strength conditioning coaches, these all train every night of the week doing something karate related, even if they're not doing Kata or Kumite. So as athletes, their commitment level is, you know. So there's a lot of respect for that, for what they put themselves through generally, you know.
Yeah. Just to change the subject a little bit, Dean. So, 40 odd years martial arts. Have you ever had any experiences where you've had to use that yourself, like in an outside situation, away from an actual club, or has it helped you in any way in a real life situation?
Yep. I grew up in East London.
You probably used it every day.
Not since I've lived in Essex, but I grew up in East London. So, yeah, a few times, bars. Even to when I teach my students now, and we're doing like Kata, and I say, look, Yeah, it's all defence related, all self-defence related, but don't stand there like this in the middle of the street. It's not going to happen like that, you know. But as a strike, a block, they come in at, it would naturally just kicks in, yeah. And I have had a couple of situations. I've had, more recently, but I'm thankful for it, massively thankful for it. The thought now, as obviously 51, of getting into a Barney, just it would embarrass the life out of me if I got into a Barney. Where when I was younger, I used to go out, and it was all a part of it.
Quite welcome it, yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's like, and you've done the door. You know, you've done the door. I've done the door. And in them times, it was all good fun. I can't think of anything worse now.
No. Unfortunately, when you do the door, you know, don't matter how much of a great talker you are. When certain people are drunk, you're not going to deal with it any other way than.
No,
you know,
that's right.
Sort of violence, is it?
When I used to do it, that wasn't controlled either. So it's everything now is it's all official, isn't it? You know, you have to have. I think you have to have passes now and everything.
Yeah.
I don't. You know, there was nothing like that when we. You know, and it is. It was a learning curve, but I think doing karate when you start, that's a learning curve. Situations like the door. There's a lot of martial arts, little karate lads. Back in the day, I know Willie Thomas done the door. Wayne Utto's done the door. You know, there's quite a few of them that have all done the door at some point. I'm not sure about now, and that's not just disrespect. It's because it's just a different. Do you know what I mean? You know, these lads now are full-time athletes, although they're not paid. I think the last thing they want on a Friday and Saturday night is standing at the door of a club till 2 a.m. You know, so.
Did you ever find working on a door you actually got to sort of try stuff out in a real life situation that
do you know,
see if it worked or didn't work?
Yeah.
Stuff?
Do you know, I always had a bit of an issue because I'm not the biggest. And I remember when I was doing it, people around me were all big fellas. So I was either hit someone or get hit. Where with the big lads, they can grab someone and just lift them and throw them out.
Yeah.
So I found myself, I'm in situations as well, being a bit smaller. I'm up 5'11", but I found that I was always up against it.
Yeah.
I didn't have that initial being able to just grab someone and throw them out.
Yeah.
It always escalated into something, you know. But I've done benches in Mile End. And, only for a little while. And then I remember one day, they went to me, I was living in London, I was 22, so I was quite young. And they went, need you to go somewhere else, where's that? Pink toothbrush.
Oh, Bailey.
Yeah, where's the pink toothbrush? And I got there, and when I come back, they went, was it rough? Because the owner said it's really rough. And I was like, no. it's like being at a wedding reception. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's not. So, but I hadn't heard of the pink toothbrush or anything then. But it was only I didn't do it every week. It was more, you know, I think it's still the same now. Is anyone available?
Yeah.
It's that sort of
Bit of
stuff.
extra pocket money.
Yeah, that's it.
Just to keep you going.
And then I just had enough of it, I think. And then it coincided with me not long after that moving to Essex and wanting a quieter, calmer life, I think.
Yeah,
you know?
of course.
So,
So where is with your sort of squad going to sort of now? What's the future hold for them?
regarding my club,
Yeah, regarding the club and obviously the England side of it and stuff.
we've got Junior Lever. Regarding England, we've got Junior Lever, who's actually in charge. He's the head coach, who is well-known coach. Karate is amazing. Even now, I said to him the other day, I was like, because we chat quite a lot, and I said, can't you get a British passport? You could still fight for him. He's just, when he's a bit like, there's me and then there's him, he's just like, I think he's early 40s, or just 40 possibly, but he still moves like this, you know. So in regards to him and what he has to offer the England team, he's brilliant. You know, the sessions are great, the feedback's great. You know, there'll still be people moan and say that, especially with selections coming up, that's an hard one, because people always feel that their fighter or their child should be selected. You know, so it's always. But in regards to his vision and his focus on the England team, he's from Belgium, but his commitment and his passion for the England team is brilliant.
So how does someone get selected for England? What sort of process do they go through?
They go regional training first. You have regional, so you'll have South East, South West, Midlands, North. So it's more local, for, you know. And then from that, the regional coaches would identify potential, keep an eye, you know, they log stuff, and then they would inform us that they'd like to put forward an athlete to come down and train. When they come to us and train at national training, the main training, we'll assess whether they're worth keeping on or they're not.
So
ready.
they're sort of like vetted, sort of watched and vetted.
Yeah, only at the session, you know, and we might do some fighting, light fighting, and then they basically afterwards we make a decision whether they're ready, not ready. Once they're on the squad, prior to every championships, major European or worlds, there's a selection, and they fight off.
So they actually fight each other.
So what will happen is you might have 5 athletes in one weight category. They will fight each other.
Right.
And then we'll pick who is the stronger one. We do take other things into consideration. Sessions attended, so the commitment level of that athlete. What they're doing at competition level away from us, you know, so we keep an eye on stuff. Juniors always, you know, always comment on about how people are doing, what competitions are coming up, you know. There's quite a few things, you know. Attitude. I remember the first time we'd done an England session, I remember the first aid guy, because we have a first aid bench. Everyone was queuing up at it. And I'm like, really? You know, and I couldn't do it. I was like, I walked up, I went, what's the matter with you? Oh, I've got a tight hamstring. We'll stretch it, come away. And I was like, mentality's got to change.
Yeah.
The mentality is massive. You know, we can all kick and punch. I think the mentality in any sport, that's what divides the professionals.
It's a little bit like, you know, you look at some of the footballers as a clip on the video where he flicked his ear. I don't know if you've seen it, and he rolls on the floor holding his ear, and then you got fighters, you know, punching the crap out of each other and still wanting to carry on. So
that's right.
Sometimes the mentality can be
blocking out stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually say to my kids at my club, and I love football. I do like football. I'm a football sport. I've been a season ticket, so I don't, you know. But when I'm with my kids at my club, there's a thing I say like, "You're not footballers. Don't make out you're injured. You're fighters. You should be making out you're all right.
Yeah.
I'll decide if you're injured." Just to get that mentality into them, you know. So, but it's some of the football. There was a bit the other day I see, and the girl, woman footballer, when I dislocate her knee, and she's punching the side of her leg, and I'm thinking, I don't think you'd see some of the men doing that. So, it's good. I'm enjoying it. Got good times coming ahead, I'm sure, with England. Club level the same. Got a good group, got kids, got coaches that take the little kids, and even to that, there's like a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in a fortunate position because I don't do it for a living. I don't need to do it for a living. So my club is not about numbers. I don't have to grade someone because I'm short for my mortgage. You know, and that does happen. You know, which is a shame. You can.
There's a lot over the years. You know, you see it on the internet now. The dojos they call them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And they just basically like a money making scheme.
Yeah. Because I've had students turn up at mine from other clubs, and they're wearing a brown belt or they're wearing a certain belt. Can't kick, like basic kick. I'm thinking, shows that exactly what we said in the dojo. You know what I mean? You know? Which is a shame, but I suppose you get that in a lot of things.
If someone was looking for a good dojo or a training school, what would be your advice for them to look for, so they can avoid these dodgy jobs?
I think when the emphasis is on money very early, because the emphasis shouldn't be on money very early. It should be about getting someone in, letting them train, seeing the environment they're training in. I always say with the kids, they've got to be enjoying it. That's the bottom line, you know, the kids enjoying it. And if the kids are enjoying it and you see them developing and every month you're not being asked for this amount of money, that amount of money, then they're fine.
Yeah.
You know, if they become elite athletes or they're looking to take that path, because before I had a really good England coach, before I had my girl at mine, Melissa, I had a girl that was really into Kata. And I couldn't offer her nothing in regards to top level Kata, you know? So I was well aware of my limits even in karate, and I've done it for, you know? So I said to her, look, there's a couple of clubs here. Not many people would do that.
No.
You know, and I've had a little girl recently come to me whose instructor phoned me, without saying names again, and said, could you take on my daughter, my student? I knew this little girl already. I was like, right, okay, what's up then? I thought there was an issue with the instructor. I just don't have the time and I don't want to hold her back. And that's class.
Yeah.
That's very, yeah.
That's thinking of the student rather than
that's
yourself.
right.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that's how I would do it. I think you get I was very fortunate. When I walked through Terry Daly's door, I could have been walking through any door. We didn't have no idea. But ever since I started training, as I said before, Terry's been excellent in all areas. You know, financially, in regards to any money or stuff like this, never been about that. I'm the same now. I've got students at mine that haven't graded for a year. They're not ready to grade. Mm-hmm. But I could go £30 graded. Oh, you failed. Have to do it again in 4 months' time.
Yeah.
Some people, you know, some people do, but I just don't. I've got students, and I think that's why I've got quite a small committed group. So.
Yeah. So obviously in them 40 odd years of karate, martial arts, have you ever had any sort of funny moments in there?
That I can talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I had one. I used to go to Austria every year. Me, Wayne, Terry used to go to Austria every year. And if Wayne's watching this, he's mostly sitting there thinking, don't say nothing about something else. Yeah. But it's quite a tame one. But we were sitting there and I was saying, I haven't been swept, never been swept.
So what is this, what's swept?
When
so,
you're fighting with someone and they take your legs away.
Yep.
Yeah. And he was like, he was taking quite a lot of notice that Wayne's like, oh, right. An hour later, we're in a training session which Wayne's taking, and me and Wayne spar. And out of the blue, he just sweeps both my legs. And there was like a petition that split badminton courts for like the main hall. And I went underneath into another karate class that was taking place. And that was all, Wayne's 9 times world champion, so if you're going to get swept by anyone, do you know what I mean? It's like, but he
accept it from the best.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, that's it. But that was fun, and I'll always remember it. But we've had loads, you know, Terry used to take us to karate competitions when we was all kids. And he'd have house speakers on the back shelf of his car. You know, and I think it was a Chevette or Vox, or I'm not sure. Yeah, and we'd all be going competition, and the car would break down. And we'd all be pushing it on the motorway, like, you know, all these, you know, me, Charles, Wayne. Yeah, we've had some great moments, and it's many memories. You know, that's the bit I'm indebted. That's totally to them people I know, and also karate itself, like martial arts generally.
Yeah. If there was any, if there was a path that you could have changed or gone down, would you change it, or do you like what you've done?
Not regarding martial arts. Not regarding martial arts, boxing or anything like that. Although I've enjoyed other sports in regards, I wish I'd done that. Personally, yeah, there's a few. That period from when I stopped karate to, there's a period there. But then I suppose now it's given me the drive to achieve with my group.
Yeah.
At all different levels of their karate, you know. So, and my family's East End, and they're not all very ideal role models, so to speak. Yeah. But I think, looking back now, I think I've done really well considering. Yeah. Because it could have been totally different.
Could have been down a different path.
Yeah, totally.
Do you think that's mainly because of the karate and the discipline keeping you on that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and then and my mum and dad. You know, my mum and dad was brilliant. I think it's quite hard back then being a parent, bringing them up in areas like that. You know, we have areas around here, you know, like locally, but it is an whole new level again. Although some of them have got quite posh now, you know. So, but a lot of the areas have got posh. You know, people that live in Shoreditch, still very trendy. And all that. When I lived there, it was nothing like that. You know. So, but no regrets really. No regrets.
Can I just ask you, did you ever have any idols in sort of martial arts, or anyone you sort of looked up to?
I remember, this is a really funny story now, we're going to say this. Chuck Norris.
Yep.
Chuck Norris was and I remember, you're going to laugh now, because I can't even believe I'm going to say this. I wrote into Jim Will Fix It. I'm happy I didn't get pushed.
I was going to say, yeah.
But I wrote in to meet Chuck Norris. That never happened, thankfully. So another path that could have went completely wrong.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then more karate, because it was karate and I was young, and then I had the group of like Wayne and them. They were setting the benchmark. Molly Samuels, you know, Terry Daly. There was Mervyn Etienne, Vic Charles. Vic Charles used to teach me. I used to hold Vic Charles. Vic Charles was on Superstars. Do you remember Superstars back in the day?
Yeah, the
press ups.
Brian Jacks was on it as well.
That's
the
it,
judo.
yeah. Well, Vic Charles was on that.
Oh, right.
And Vic Charles lived across the road from me in East London. And I used to hold his stopwatch when he was doing his runs over Victoria Park. And then he used to train me for a little while afterwards. So I was like his little buddy, you know. It's like, I was only young.
So just going on to Vic Charles, he was quite a big name years ago.
Yeah, he was a multiple world champion.
Yeah.
You know, still now involved in karate. Yeah. And his nephew, Mervyn Etienne, was another one, world champions. Paul Alderson, multiple world champion, you know. Yeah, we were spoiled. England karate was spoiled. And it was nice that even now I think, just watching them, but I try not to say to the new athletes or the New England fighters, yeah, back when we was...
Yeah.
I try not to sound like my dad. It's like my dad and records. See, I don't want to... about our music and their music. I try not to get into it. But yeah, it was a good time to be around karate.
Yeah. Can I just ask you the changes from sort of when you started to now in the competition? Obviously, just watching your team there earlier, I noticed there's a lot of differences from when I'd done it years ago. Can I just ask you about the transformation?
Yeah, a lot more movement. A lot lighter on their feet. Yeah, they come at different angles. Like, you know, I think we was a lot more set. We had a lot more of a traditional background, you know, so we was a lot more solid. I think even to things like the front hand up was like a solid front hand, you know, where they're a lot more lighter on their feet. They're delicate. There's a few things I don't like. The Gazami punch, they flick a hand out and it's not really like a punch, but it scores. So, you know, I have to try and incorporate stuff that scores rather than what I like and what I don't.
Yeah. Because
if I had my choice, when they flick a front hand, it's not karate. We don't, you know. But obviously, some people throw Gazami properly and all that. But they see, you have to be careful. You don't become a YouTube fighter. That's what I tell mine. They watch other people. You got Agaev, who's top fighter, and they watch him on YouTube. It's all on YouTube. It's all on the internet now, isn't it?
It never used to be.
And then they copy that, but they don't do it right. So they cut corners, you know. So where if you maybe see Agaev do a kata or his basics, it's more likely to be brilliant. But the kids now, they want to skip that bit out. They want to get straight to doing his sweeps and all this.
Yeah, cool.
So that's the bit where I think, because of internet, things are a lot more accessible, aren't they? You know.
Yeah, I suppose like years ago when you did karate, you only learned from going through the process, where now you can look it up and do some homework.
That's
yourself.
right.
Yeah.
Because I have students say to me, is there anywhere I can watch so-and-so kata? You know, is there anyone doing like something else? Yeah, there is. That's all right to get little little ideas or get an idea of what way you're going. I said, but you need someone looking over it, you know? Because we'd all be sitting at home being black belts.
Yeah, of course.
You know? So, and there's nothing like a gym environment, dojo environment, is there?
No.
You know?
How's karate affected your body through the years, like with wear and tear? Has it made it more supple, and has it gone the other way?
The other way? I click. I just continuously click and like my hips. But and I didn't do it to the level of the likes of our England, like, you know, Wayne, and that they were trained like, and I still notice it. But then I played a bit of football as well when I was young, so my knees are not great. But I do, yeah, I'm not flexible no more. And I was a kicker, and it's really crazy because I was still kicking really well till I was about 42. And I think coinciding with me teaching more and not training as much, has just changed. I could maybe address it quite easily, you know, but I do think you do have a knock-on effect.
I suppose that's the same with any sport. I mean, if you're taking away your training time to coach, obviously it's going to have a little bit of an impact on your own physical work, isn't it?
Yeah, massively.
You haven't got the time to train loads of other people and fit in your own training, so it's sort of...
Someone said to me, do you train when you're teaching? And I was like, yeah, I was for a while. But then my students started getting really good. And then I thought, if I do what they're doing, or if I keep them doing what I'm going to hold them back. Yeah, regardless of it, they're super fit. You're talking about teenagers, a lot of them, you know. And you better, and because now I've got my assistant coaches, who's basically not helped me long term in regards to my karate. So when I need a demonstration done, I've got Alfie Ambrose, ex-England fighter, Alex Jones, they'll demonstrate it. Basically, I want them to do it like them, not like I would do it now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know?
I think that's the process though, isn't it? I mean, you've done your days of karate, you've done your days of competing, it's now passing that knowledge down the line. That's where you're going to
I think
keep the tradition going. And
do you know, I think my biggest battle when I started teaching and as my students started getting better was because I hadn't fought for England and because I hadn't been a world champion in a generation when we had loads from England, you know, that automatically brings respect and authority. If you have someone walking in now and they're a world champion, and then you've got someone that's just as good but never won a title, the world champion would be, the focus would be always on that, you know? And I think teaching, especially at the England level, I think sometimes I was a little bit insecure about it, going for England before, because I thought, yeah, but they've got, you know, need world champions. It's all world champions around the England squad and all that. And then it weren't until them same people went to me, you're kidding. You got to do it. Your coaching ability is like unquestioned, you know? Yeah. And that's what made me do it.
I was about to say that, you know, I've had conversations myself with certain people. Just by being a world champion, that doesn't make you the greatest coach.
No, not at all.
You know, they're two totally different things. Like, you know, some of the greatest fighters might not be able to have great communication skills to pass on that knowledge and teach them stuff. So it is a little bit of a different scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, I do. And, you know, it's like any elite sport. I won't even say martial arts or fight sports. It's just elite sport. It's surrounded by ego. Ego is such a, you know, it's all about them, you know. So I think as soon as you have a coach, whether they've got an England badge, world title or not, if the ego's left at the door, like that old saying, you've seen it on gyms, haven't you? Leave the ego at the door.
Yeah, that's it.
I think then that can make you appreciated, like that can make you of another level of being a coach. Because I think having an ego as a coach, and like, you know, I think we've all got to have a confidence to compete and fight. It takes a lot to get into a ring on a mat, doesn't it? So we've all got a level of, you know, but I think to be the big ego within anything is damaging.
Yeah. As a couple of kickboxing coaches I know who openly admit they weren't the greatest fighters, but their coaching skills are, you know, they're so good. They got an eye. They can tell you exactly in a corner what the opponent's going to do, what you need to do to beat them. So being a coach, you don't have to have that world champion experience. You can be the greatest coach from just having that skill alone, isn't it?
Yeah, and being secure with yourself. If you're insecure in anything, you're going to damage. Like, because I let my students, if they tell me, as long as they tell me, not because I would say no, because I've never said no, but if they say, oh, son's doing a seminar or training camp, we're allowed to go there. Yeah, of course you can. But you've got to be secure as a coach to allow that.
Yeah.
because sometimes you have coaches that want to keep, it's like a little net random, because what happens then is they go out, see how good other people are.
Yeah, worried about losing their students.
That's right, you know.
Yeah.
But I think I've done from day one, because Terry always did. You'd see Wagey lads at Ticky's training camp. Do you get what I mean? You know, we've always, it was a lot more doable because we was all quite close to each other in regards to like a few miles from each other.
Yeah.
Where being out this way, karate clubs are a bit more spaced out.
Yeah.
You know, but
For my own sort of personal opinion, I find it good to sort of mix, because one person will be, I don't know, just for example, they might be brilliant at teaching you kicks. Another coach could be brilliant at teaching you punches. So
yeah.
if you bring that package together, you're going to
Yeah,
get the
that's
best
right.
from.
Yeah, and go to the ones that know their stuff for
Yeah,
each
exactly,
thing, you
yeah.
know. You got Daniel up, you know, Daniel TSG, isn't it?
Yeah,
In
TSG.
Shawbury. Yeah, got Daniel there.
Daniel Zotto's been on for an interview. We've had
Yes,
him on,
yeah. Do you know what I mean? And he's proper. If I've had people contact me and say, "I'd like to do martial arts," yeah, MMA, cage, right? No, not me. You need to go to Daniel.
Yeah.
You know, or something to do with Thai boxing as well. I don't. Although I've done little bits. I'm a karate person.
Yeah.
You know, but I've a funny story with MMA. Daniel's actually. Daniel don't even know this, so he might watch this and laugh. Right? I went into Daniel's gym as a karate lad and dislocated my little toe in the mat.
Yeah.
If that was at a karate hall, I'd have gone, made a, sorted it out. I was so around some beasts, like, and I thought, no, I can't, I've got to man this out. And I'm trying to tap it quietly. Like Casey went, oh, karate win. Like, I was like, and I was really struggling. I was like, and I got back home, I was late 30s. And my missus was like, well, didn't you just, I went, no. I said, I can't, I'm in an MMA gym. I can't just like, she went, you're too old for all this, you should stop. So that was it. Dan, she don't even know I dislocated my toe, but I was there trying to man it out. But it's like, yeah, it's like, no, I can't let karate down. But yeah, no.
So Dean, if anyone was interested, or the viewers had children and they want to get interested in that, into the karate stuff, where could they find you or look you up?
Just Google Dean Lowe. Yeah, just Google Dean Lowe. My number's always on there. My clubs are in Castle Point. Got a place in Hadley, Benfleet, Canvey Island I teach as well, but that's only for elite athletes.
Yeah.
Got a place for elite athletes in Roarth. But the beginners and starters are Benfleet and Hadley.
Yeah.
But,
Is there any social media pages they could catch you on?
Yeah, there's just my Facebook. To be honest with you, it's always the best one to do. Dean Lowe is my Facebook page. I've got, it's always hard to, it's like when you say a martial arts name, people don't know how to spell it, so it get lost. Yeah. But I'd always say, and just because my phone number's on everything. So, but anyone's welcome to come down. I've got a good group.
Any other stories you want to tell us before we start to wind up?
And without getting anyone into trouble. That's it, yeah. No, I think that's it. I mostly come away from here and go, I should have said that one, but yeah.
We're starting to wind it up here then, Dean. Thank you ever so much for coming.
Pleasure.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, excellent. It's brilliant what you're doing.
Lovely. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yes.
Excellent.